alongside Connor O'Brien and Ethan Sanabria. My name is Rafael de los Santos, and welcome back to Off the Bar podcast. Today we have a special episode based around the UCL Final, Real Madrid versus Liverpool. A pretty nice occasion, pretty special occasion, especially since we have a lot of Real Madrid fans on the pod. Today I'll be representing the champs, just me alone, but happy to do so. Basically, we're going to be talking about what happened in the Champions League Final. It was a very eventful game, even though only ended 1-0. Probably one of the best, most entertaining Champions League finals in recent history. I know that might not be the case for like Ethan or Connor because they happen to be a Chelsea and Man City fans who just happened to play the last final. So I bet you guys were entertained then, but I was definitely entertained as someone who hadn't been to the finals since we played Liverpool. So we're going to be talking about the Champions League final. Then we're going to move on to how the Champions League final shaped what's happening now around the world. You know, Mbappe staying at PSG. You got a lot of players leaving Real Madrid. You got a lot of players leaving Liverpool. Mohamed Salah could potentially be out the door. Then basically we're just going to move around, talk about Real Madrid and Liverpool. Even the team of the tournament came out, and a lot of Real Madrid and Liverpool players there. And to start us off, Ethan Sanabria, Connor O'Brien, Champions League final, Real Madrid versus Liverpool, 1-0. What were your takeaways, things you saw that were interesting? What did you think of the game?
I mean, I don't know what was worse, the match or Camila Cabello. Personally, she was, Jesus Christ. I mean, if we're talking about even like we got to talk about what happened before. Like, that's like, it was blatantly inhumane. Like, that was terrible what happened. Like, the whole game was delayed. If you watch that, like, the game's delayed because the Stade de France only had one of their 5 like taking stands open. People like climb over the wall trying to get in. Police start like tear gassing people, leads to delays. FIFA blames the fans, which is terrible, and that puts them off to like a whole separate thing. But waiting meant that the players kind of lost their like intensity and enthusiasm. So if you watch the game, especially the first half, like it was boring. I was bored. The first half, especially. Like, the first half of this game, nothing happened. I waited 45 minutes.
Nothing they made me watch happened.
Stuff happened, but like it wasn't intense. There was no intensity. Bro, I could pull up to a local park and find a more intense soccer match than what I watched in the first half of this Champions League final.
Yo, did he watch the game?
I did watch the game. I watched it. The second half was great. They came out. They had to wait. They had to warm up twice. This whole like just waiting for that because of how Stade de France is like, and the French government's like, and FIFA's like setup was terrible because there were delays. Like, it was just, you're watching the game. There's no intensity. The first half, to me, as a viewer, to me, there's no intensity.
It was horrible to wait because I was already nervous. I was absolutely pooping myself. My hands were sweating. I was sitting down. The Pizza Hut got there just in time. And then boom, dude's talking about like, 30-minute delay. Then I had Thierry Henry, Jamie Carragher, and like the rest of the Paramount crew had nothing prepared for like, because they obviously didn't see it coming. So they were talking about like what they had ate for dinner last night. It was absolutely horrible. And then the match got started 30 minutes later. I'm with you on that. In terms of like, it was not exciting. Absolutely.
No, the game was exciting, just not the first
half. It was insane. What? The first half? Like,
the second half was great. The second half was great.
Liverpool was peppering Real Madrid with shots. I mean, if you look at the highlights, like you pull up like highlights of the final, like I did this before we got on here just to like refresh. Bro, it was like a highlight in the 15th minute, highlight 16th, 18th. Like it was ridiculous. Like Salah had that off balance shot that Courtois saved in like the 15th minute. 16th minute, they had the half volley that Salah shot right down the middle to Courtois. And then the 18th minute, Trent had a blast that goal. Like it was crazy. They were all over Real Madrid at the beginning.
I mean, Liverpool. Like, if you go on the shout out Off the Bar TikTok, and follow us. If you look at the TikTok, like I said this in the commentary too, like Liverpool was making chances. I just thought it wasn't intense. I don't know. I just didn't think it was like intense. I thought Madrid's defense, especially like shout out like Ferland Mendy and like David Alaba on the left side of their defense, like just absolutely pocketing Mo Salah. Like he didn't do anything the whole game. Like he was, I don't know. It's really like he's not a big game player.
I was gonna say, I was like easily the most interesting parts of the matches were, especially Courtois in the beginning, was able to just absolutely just control the entire game, as you know, Dos Santos just said, the Salah off balance and then the Mane one. I was at the edge of my seat because I was like, oh my goodness, Liverpool's definitely going to score at least within these 45 minutes, just the way they were playing. And you look at Militao, people were saying like Militao was a good defender. No, he was playing really scared, honestly, the entire game, not really stepping up to challenges, allowing for those shots. A lot of people said they played well defensively, and I disagree. You have like 9 to 10 shots on goal, have to make 9 saves the entire game. That's not a good defensive performance, but it was definitely, I thought, was fun to watch. And Courtois, man of the match. It's crazy how Van Dijk pocketed Benzema pretty much the entire game. And yes,
Yeah.
the entire
Rafa, what do you do? What do you do?
You
was
guys,
pocketed.
okay,
What did he do?
Two things. I mean, Van Dijk didn't pocket Benzema, and Real Madrid didn't play bad defense. What you guys got to realize is that Real Madrid went in there with a game plan, and the game plan was to sit back and pick your shots, and did that perfectly. What did Benzema do? Benzema literally, okay, the same way you can say that like Van Dijk pocketed Benzema, like Benzema also made Van Dijk not a thing. Real Madrid made Van Dijk not a thing. I think that Konate had a way better game than Van Dijk because Van Dijk didn't do anything. Like, can you remember a play where Van Dijk stopped an attack?
Well, that's because Konate had to help Alexander Arnold the entire time on that right side. So
the goal came from the left side.
Across where Trent Alexander-Arnold had the chance to kick it off, and he switched off defensively, had an opportunity, but Vinicius came in and he was more alert. That was a Trent Alexander-Arnold part.
No, of course.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't even say switched off defensively. I wouldn't even say switched off defensively. Like, I feel like that's way too nice to Trent. He was just blatantly ball watching. In my opinion, if you watch the replay, like, he just literally just watches the ball come in, realizes he's out of position way too late after Vinicius has made the run. Like, it's just it's a perfectly timed thing against Liverpool's worst defender.
When I first watched it and I watched the replay, I was like, wow, Trent never even checked his shoulder to see if Vinicius was coming. And then if you watch the highlights, he does. He literally looks at Vinicius coming and just never picks him up. He never defends him, never does anything. And we've been saying this the entire year on the podcast, especially me. Trent's an amazing player, but he's not good at defense. And if you're not good at defense, you can't possibly be the best right back in the world. But I don't want to get into a conversation of like, is he the best right back in the world or not? Really don't, because he didn't win the game. You know what I'm saying? But going back to what you guys were saying about Real Madrid not playing good defense, they did, because they were coming into the game with that game plan of picking their shots, and they were doing what they've been doing the entire season, which is relying on their two best players, Karim Benzema and Courtois. I know you're saying that Benzema was pocket or whatever, and let's put that off to the side for a second. Let's talk about Courtois. The only save that Courtois made that I was like, yeah, you shouldn't be making that, sir, is the one against Mane. Thiago picks a pass straight to Mane. Mane evades the living crap out of Casemiro, and like you said, Militao was too scared, and you see Militao plant both his feet. Mane does a little quick shimmy and takes a shot where Courtois was coming from. Like, it was a perfectly executed shot. Courtois was coming from the right side of the goal into the middle, and Mane shot it to where the goalie was coming from. And I don't know how, and you could watch the highlights again, you will not understand how in the world he makes that save. How do you get enough power on that to palm the ball into the post and back into the middle of the goal? No idea. Understandably so why he was man of the match. But yeah, Real Madrid relied on Courtois. They relied on Benzema. What was Benzema doing? Benzema was picking the ball up in the middle of the field, playing out to Vinicius, so Vinicius could have a chance to run at Trent. There were a couple plays where Benzema played out like with his back to Van Dijk, go to 1-2s. If Benzema's goal would have counted, would we be saying that Van Dijk pocketed Benzema? Like, where was Van Dijk when that ball was played over the top? Exactly. I don't think Van Dijk did anything. Konate had the game of his life. Konate had a 1v1 with Vinicius where like Vinicius looked like a 12-year-old.
All right, so multiple points. I think also going back to Courtois to start off with, I think his save against Mohamed Salah and around like the 77th minute that hits off his bicep, and you think that like, you put your arm up and it's supposed to go off, it shimmies right through, but it pops up over the goal. I think that's an amazing save as well. It's kind of like challenging that Mane save, close but no cigar type vibes. But I don't know, for Benzema, I mean, Benzema did what he did to win. It's just not one of those games where you're like, oh man, this is where he cements himself as Ballon d'Or. He won, and they did a great job. It just wasn't as that convincing. Oh man, like this is the man of the match type win that you were expecting from Karim Benzema to go out there. And I think Van Dijk did his job. We talk about that goal that Benzema did score that was taken off. It was off a deflection of Fabinho. You can't really fault that on Van Dijk, especially considering it was just his quick pace to get off right there and just go in and score off an open net, essentially. So
I'm not saying it was Van Dijk's fault, and I'm not like, oh, Van Dijk was poop. Where was he on that goal? What I'm trying to say is everyone on Real Madrid was like, they did their job. Even Vinicius, who scored, if you look at his match rating, is only a 7.4. Like, Casemiro had a better game in terms of rating. Like, the entire back line had a better game in terms of rating. Even Toni Kroos had a better game in terms of rating. And Vinicius scored. Everyone around Madrid was like not superstar vibes except Courtois. Courtois had the game of his life. Everyone else is playing roles. Toni Kroos played a good role, and I expected him to be subbed out for Camavinga. Valverde played his role, and everyone's trying to take credit away from Valverde, saying that it was a shot. Bro, to me, that looks like a cross. He picks his head up, looks at Vinicius, and then blasts it to Vinicius. Like,
that was Carvajal who had the assist that you were talking about, I believe.
I think it was Valverde.
Goal, it was Valverde.
It was Valverde.
Was it Valverde?
I think so.
Yeah. But since you brought up Carvajal,
he had game of his life.
No, he was incredible. The unsung hero of that final.
In the beginning of the game, I was judging Jurgen Klopp's decision of playing Luis Diaz. I thought that it would be smarter to start Jota and bring on Luis Diaz. Why? Because Luis Diaz before this played for Porto. Like, not saying that Jota has like some experience over him in the Champions League, because he doesn't, because he's a former Wolves player and he has never been to the final with Liverpool. Like, his first season as well. But Luis Diaz is better coming off the bench, in my opinion. Why? Because he's more erratic. He brings a spark. He puts his head down at all times, and he just wants to run at people. And to me, that was never going to work unless Real Madrid just had a bad defensive day where you can just take advantage of like gaps and having 1v1s with Carvajal. But every single time they try to play behind Carvajal absolutely locked him up. He kept stride for stride with Luis Diaz. The only thing that I would say is at the beginning of the game, Carvajal literally brought down Luis Diaz on a breakaway. In my opinion, that should have been a yellow card. If I'm being really neutral and super serious, that was a yellow card. And they did not give it. And sometimes you got to ask yourself, like, how much that could have changed the game. And to be honest, that referee was definitely tripping. Like, his first yellow card was Fabinho in the midfield, like in the 60th minute or something. Like, and the way he ended the game as well, like, Toni Kroos fouled Naby Keita at midfield, like at the end of added time, like in the 95th minute. And then Dani Ceballos kicked the ball all the way to the goal and he blew a whistle. Like, what? I thought they were going to be given another attack, but those are just little tidbits. I think that Luis Diaz and Carvajal, that showdown was insane. Carvajal had the game of his life. Toni Kroos played the role really well. Courtois had a game of his life. Konate played outstanding. Dude, that we haven't mentioned that save that Courtois had on Salah, where Jota headed it back across the goal. You know what I'm talking about? Dude, what?
Yeah.
That one was ridiculous as well.
Yeah, Carvajal, like, he can't, like, pocketed Luis Diaz the whole time. Came on, Jota comes on with 60th, 70th minutes, something. Pockets him the entire time after an hour, like, against fresh legs and against, like, Jota, who's really good. Like, Carvajal absolutely, I mean, he played the game of his life and he needed to. He absolutely pocketed that right side. I think, like, unsung hero of that game is definitely him. Another point I wanted to bring up, just because Ethan mentioned it a couple minutes ago, the Benzema goal that got ruled back because he was offside. I think we're all in agreement, like, that was totally a goal, right?
I don't know. It's just like, it's weird rule of like the law. Deliberate is, I feel like it needs to be changed, because like, what is deliberate? Like, clearly he wasn't trying to play it back to his goalkeeper, but he was trying to play the ball. So like, it's too muddled. There's too much of a gray area for a referee to decide. And I think they just decided to stay with the call that they had originally on the field.
So you're sorry, you're thinking like it's not a. Go ahead.
something very similar happened like a year ago, or like maybe 2 years ago, or maybe it was a long, long time ago. It's one of those matches that's kind of a blur in my mind. It was France versus Spain. It was France versus Spain, and Theo Hernandez plays a through ball to Mbappe, and I think it's Eric Garcia or Emerick Laporte stretches out and like tries to like slide tackle the ball to stop it from going through to Mbappe, and Mbappe was offsides. And just because the defender touched the ball, like trying to slide tackle it, it was a deliberate play on the ball, and Mbappe was no longer offside. Going back to the Benzema one against Liverpool, I think, and I know I'm biased because I'm a Real Madrid fan or whatever, but like straight up, the same way I can tell you that foul on Luis Diaz by Carvajal is a yellow card, I can tell you that to me that was a goal. Why? Because Valverde tries to shoot and Konate makes the block. Then Fabinho comes in and slide tackles and hits the ball to Benzema. So in my opinion, that's a deliberate play on the ball, and you just happen to knock it into Benzema. Like that's not the counter argument would be that like a deliberate play on the ball is if like Fabinho tried to pass it to like Robertson or Allison and Benzema like intercepted her or something. But go ahead.
Not what I
I
was
agree with. Oh, God.
Sorry, I want to go back to the point. Was like what I was saying was I don't think there's an incorrect or a correct way to talk about that goal just because the rules aren't very clear enough. So essentially, what I'm saying is the rule change was probably a necessity, at least to clear up the wording to prevent further instances like this in the future. My bad. Go ahead, Connor.
No worries. I was just saying, like, I agree with Rafa. I mean, even if you're looking at like based on the rule, like how the rule is written, Fabinho slides into like a slide. That's a slide tackle on the ball. Ball goes straight to Benzema. Like, how is this like? How is sliding in and hitting the ball as like a slide tackle defensive move, not a play on the ball? I just blatantly like I don't understand like the refereeing. Every other instance I've ever seen of this like this rule in effect. If you look at what Rafa just said, if you look at like even like from my Chelsea memory, like we play Atletico 2 years ago. Giroud is a mile offside, comes off of an Atletico defender, bicycle kicks it in. It's a goal because it hit the Atletico defender. The Atletico defender made a play on the ball. Like every other instance of this ruling, except this game, it's a goal. Like I just don't understand. To me, it's a goal. Like I don't understand how you could call it any other way. I don't
It's a
know.
question of whether or not it's a deliberate play on the ball. Like I don't remember, I don't remember Giroud's goal perfectly, but I feel like it was Felipe or something that headed the ball back or something. Like he definitely like he's so open, like it's such a clear shot. He definitely hits it back. So he makes a deliberate play on the ball that's super clear, and therefore there's no offside. I would call Benzema's goal offside if Valverde takes the shot and it deflects off Fabinho. You know, if it hits Fabinho and ends up in Benzema, Fabinho didn't make a deliberate play on the ball, bro. It just hit off him. But that's not the case. To me, Fabinho slid into the ball, which is a deliberate action, and the ball ended up on It ended up being on Benzema. But you know, like the same reason that I gave for the referee not giving Carvajal a yellow card, it's the same reason I'll say that he didn't give the goal. Like I think that the pressure of the match and the occasion was like in the back of his head for every decision that he made. Because the man didn't pull out a yellow card after a decent amount of fouls to deserve the yellow card until like the 60th minute to Fabinho or something. So yeah, 62nd minute is the first yellow card in the Champions League final. Does that make sense to you? No, bro. And literally Carvajal like tackled Luis Diaz to the ground, like his head hit the ground.
I mean, we like Benzema is no longer an absolute 100% lock for Ballon d'Or after this game, right?
Are you out of your mind? What? What?
No, that may be one.
I'm reading the script. I'm trying to get us through. No, I mean, well, one Benzema in the Champions League final, objectively, didn't do anything. Courtois had the game of his life. He's on the same team that won La Liga. I believe, and I might be getting the statistic wrong. I believe he led La Liga in clean sheets.
Who?
Courtois.
Probably not.
Let me fact check that real quick before we.
Real Madrid was second in
leader.
goals allowed. Sevilla was ahead of them. So if I had to guess, Yassine Bono.
No, he's second to Alex Ramiro of Sociedad.
Alex Ramiro. Jesus Christ.
Okay, so second in the Liga, 16 clean sheets is something to frown at. Game
Okay,
is
the
life.
question is, who do you have?
Yeah.
If you're saying that it's not Benzema, who do you have ahead of Benzema?
Courtois.
Are you
And
being serious?
devil's advocate, maybe just to make Rafa mad a little bit, there's an argument for Messi.
An argument for
Come on,
Messi?
are you
Oh,
being
wait,
serious?
hold
Is
up.
this a
He won it.
joke? Are you
He won an
pranking?
international trophy. I'm messing around a little bit. 'cause
He
I'm getting
won
a
it.
little
I'm about to close my
Mane
laptop.
won an international trophy.
Bro, he won an international trophy.
Finalissima.
The man beat the fakest
He won the
trophy ever.
Finalissima.
That's the fakest trophy I've ever seen in my life.
No, it
That's
is a
up
fake
there
trophy. I agree.
with like
It's a
the
fake trophy.
Bernabeu Cup or something like.
You want to know? I know
The
it's a fake
fakest
trophy is
trophy ever.
because articles I was reading before talked about it as a friendly, and then after they're referring to it as Messi's next international trophy.
Bro,
Like it's a meaningless trophy. I was joking.
It's a game between Argentina, who didn't even get first place in the CONMEBOL to go to the World Cup, versus Italy, who didn't qualify for the World Cup.
No.
It's a fake
It's
trophy.
Copa America versus the Euro
The
winner.
last,
It's like
the last time they played it was like in the 70s or the 60s or something when Maradona won it, and they just happened to bring it back out when Messi could win it. It's a fake trophy. It's a publicity stunt. Messi has no
argument. There's an
argument.
argument for third.
Hey, he now has 2 more trophies than Ronaldo instead of 1 now.
I mean, I'm not gonna make an argument for Ronaldo to like as Ballon d'Or winners, unscathed.
For the GOAT debate, you just saying.
I mean, Cristiano Ronaldo has 5 Champions Leagues.
The extra
he does not.
But does he have a trophy from the Euro winner versus the Copa America winner?
Ronaldo won the Nations League as well.
That's crazy. The Nations League.
Dude, the Nations League is probably harder than the Copa America. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
Dude, I cut a clean sheet in intramural futsal. Does that count for anything?
But going back to what Connor just said, which I'm pretty sure is a prank, there's no way you believe that Courtois and Messi are ahead of Benzema.
Well, Courtois, I do. Courtois. I'm not saying I'm not. Listen. Let me clarify what I said. I think I would still vote Benzema as Ballon d'Or winner, but I don't think it's an open and shut case after Courtois' performance, especially when you look at the rest of his performances in retrospect. I think there's a genuine argument to be made that Courtois was just as important to Madrid this year as Benzema.
Does it matter? A goalkeeper hasn't won Ballon d'Or since 1963.
Like Lev Yashin or something, right?
Yep.
Maybe they're due for one.
For Russia. Like, the Soviet Union.
Dude, exactly. I was going to say that. Dude won that for the Soviet Union. Like, dude, no.
This is not going to happen.
Literally, no. I can tell you a bunch of guys that are ahead of Courtois. In my opinion, that is unbiased, Benzema is a lock for the Ballon d'Or. The Ballon d'Or is being handed out October 17th before the World Cup, so the World Cup will not affect the Ballon d'Or. And literally, the only competitions till then are like the Nations League, and it's not gonna matter. And here's why: I think Benzema is a lock for Ballon d'Or, like I just said. Benzema is the La Liga leading scorer and assister, 27 goals and 13 assists. He's also UCL top scorer with 15 goals. He was 1 away, or he was tied with Cristiano's record for most goals in the knockout stages. He won La Liga, he won the Spanish Super Cup, and he won the Champions League. He was only missing Copa del Rey for a quadruple. Who do I have second place ahead of your Courtois? Mohamed Salah. I don't care that he lost the Champions League final. I don't care that he didn't win the Premier League. He was still the leading scorer and assister in the Premier League. We have a little trend going on here. Pay attention to it. Benzema, La Liga, leading scorer, leading assister. Salah, Premier League, leading scorer, leading assister. Third place, Mbappe, Ligue 1 leading scorer, Ligue 1 leading assister. Mbappe tore through Real Madrid's defense straight up. I'm a Real Madrid fan, and I'll tell you, he tore through them straight up. That goal he had disallowed that he fake shotted Courtois and then scored on him, disgusting. If Real Madrid didn't knock out PSG, like, I don't know what would have happened.
PSG would have lost the City, but that's fine.
Sure. In my opinion, Courtois is fourth behind Mbappe. I would argue that he could be third in front of Mbappe, but he's not in front of Salah. Both of them are not in front of Salah. You have to put some respect on him. Like, if Mohamed Salah had a better right foot, he would have scored on Courtois.
No disrespect to Salah, but one, a lot of those goals are penalties. I'm not even sure. I mean, not to fraudulent Golden Boot, but Heung-min Son did the same thing without penalties. He
The
was
same. I'm
bad.
gonna
Like
give you the
he was bad
same
in the
thing.
final.
I'm gonna give you the same thing. What?
Rafa, you're
Hold
no,
that. Hold that. Hold
Salah
that.
was
Hold that.
bad. No,
No, no,
Salah was
hold that.
bad in
Hold
the
that. Yeah,
final.
hold that. Hold that. Hold that. I'm not gonna pay
You're
attention to
giving
that.
no, you're giving
I'm not gonna
Salah.
pay.
You're,
Time out. Time out.
what do you
I'm not
win?
gonna pay
What do you
attention.
win?
I'm not gonna pay attention to that. That's ridiculous. Salah was Liverpool's best player straight up. He
You're
tore
bugging.
Ferdinand,
There's no way.
dude.
No.
He got a ball over the top, controlled the living Jesus out of the ball. Fernand Mendy's like 1v1 against him. He froze and then took off of him and had to take a shot on his weak foot and force Courtois into an insane save.
Best
Now he
way.
would have scored.
Best player.
So Konate didn't play. Van Dijk didn't play.
I was gonna say
Liverpool's
The
best player
midfield
was
didn't.
Mohamed Salah.
Thiago
There
didn't
would be
play.
there would have
Sadio
been
Mane didn't
no
play.
danger other than Mane's shot. You can't name another dangerous shot that Liverpool had that wasn't a Mohamed Salah shot. There was none. He almost scored like 3 times. Every time he got the ball, it was danger. Remember the long shot that Courtois saved where Salah played a 1-2 with Firmino and then took a blast? Courtois saved that. Courtois saved the one against that Jota headed back across the goal and Salah almost had. He also saved the one we won against Mendy that Salah almost had. Salah could have had a hat trick on any other goalkeeper. Who's their most danger? Who's going to score? Mane, other than the shot he had at the beginning that forced Courtois into the best save I've seen in my life. That's all that Mane did. We all know that.
I thought Mane objectively had a good game. Jota did not do anything to score ball pocket him.
We know that Luis Diaz didn't do anything to score ball pocket him as well.
Yeah.
Salah was their best player. Konate had a really good game, but he was only called upon twice, and he missed one of those calls. I know it was Trent's fault, but the whole defense got scored on. That's just the way it works. Like,
no, that was
the whole
just
defense that got scored on.
one of the best assists I've seen in a while, other than Alexander-Arnold, who shut off. But he went through Van Dijk, went through Konate, went through Fabinho, and it was very, very accurate. Where the only person who could have saved it and should have not switched off was Alexander-Arnold. None of the other guys can go and make a play at that ball except Alexander-Arnold. So you can't blame it on Konate switching off or having that issue on.
It's not. I'm not saying it's their fault. I think it's Trent's fault because I saw it coming. I've always said this about Trent. He sucks at defense. He's not a defender. Where would Trent be better as like a right mid? Or like if you could find a way to play him in the midfield, beautiful, because he's insane at passing the ball. He can give you some defense sometimes. He's not a right back though. His right backs have to be on at all times. Why? Because you get hit in the back post at Champions League final and then boom, get scored on. But like going back to the point that I really want to go at is the whole penalties thing. It's the same thing that I tell people when they want to say that Messi, that like one of the things that Messi has over Cristiano is the fact that Cristiano is like Penaldo. Dude, what is he supposed to do? Miss the penalty? No. If you have a lot of the ball, meaning you have a lot of possession of the ball and you attack a lot, you're gonna get a lot of penalties. Why? Because you're just attacking a lot. So what are the chances you get a penalties? High. What is he supposed to do? Miss the penalties? No, dude, he's gonna score them. Like, I get what you're saying, but like, you can't hold that against a player ever because what are they supposed to do? Miss the penalty? Like,
I'm not saying Salah. I'm not saying Salah is like a bad player. I just feel like if you give him a vote for Ballon d'Or, you're admitting that the Carabao Cup is a legitimate competition because that's the only thing he hit. That and the FA Cup are the only things he won all year.
What did Son win?
Well, Son, you can at least Son didn't win anything. You can say Son didn't win anything. No, wait. Case for
you have to realize that in the last ever at all times to win an individual award, you have to win. Why did De Bruyne win Player of the Year for the Premier League? Because he won the Premier League, bro. Like that's just how it works.
Son's team is trash, though. I just want.
I think narratively, you could make. I don't know. Maybe this is just me being a fan of other sports, but narratively, you can make a case for Son as the leader of a team that made a comeback from 7th, 8th, 9th in the league, finishing 4th the final day. I feel like you could kind of make a case for Son a little, not to win, to place. Because it feels to me objectively like it's Benzema, Courtois, the field.
The leading assister and goal scorer of the league is always the best player in the league. Straight up. You could say, Mohamed Salah was the leading assister. I mean, Mohamed Salah was the leading goal scorer because of penalties. Yeah, what about the assists, bro?
Well, I think you could even argue Salah's not the best player on his team.
All right, bro.
I'm not bummed today.
Who's better?
All right.
Is it Van Dijk? Because if you say Mane, we're gonna have an issue.
Well, Mane actually won something this year.
Oh my god!
I would get no.
Look
I'd give
at
him a
the
Ballon if we're
stats
doing
now.
like if we're. I would give him a Ballon d'Or vote over Salah.
Dude, Salah has
He led his team to the AFCON final and won.
14 more assists across all competitions than Salah, and that's not even talking about goal scoring. Sorry, over Mane. That's not even talking about goal scoring. Salah has 33 to Sané's 29. So even then, you're going to talk about that. You want to use the penalties? Fine. Take off the 6 goals. It's still 14 more assists. That's absolutely ridiculous. Please take that back, yo.
I might take it back. I'm having fun. Playing
Dude,
a little devil's
Salah-
advocate today. There's
Salah
not other
moved-
people. Yeah.
with winning the Golden Boot, because no one cares about the penalty. He still won a Golden Boot. With winning the Golden Boot, Salah moves to second place all time in the Premier League in Golden Boots, behind Thierry Henry. He's only trailing him by 1 now. He has 1 more year left in his contract, so he could technically be the one of the
Before he goes
best.
to Madrid.
I don't want. I mean,
Yeah, well, you guys got to get that
Oh, you
right
don't
wing
want the
situation.
second best player.
Real Madrid needs no one right now. They literally signed Antonio Rudiger
They don't
today
need-
officially. They don't need anyone right now.
You guys are going
That's
to
where
get
they're at.
Rodrigo cannot start, and you're playing a midfielder at right wing. Like you need a right wing.
Dude, the thing is,
Dude, Serge
we
Gnabry's
can't
right
say
there.
We're not Chelsea. We don't just throw money at players that look kind of good. We make good signings.
Gnabry is good.
That's what you said about Timo Werner, bro. Then look what happened. That's all I gotta say.
I'm not getting into Werner talk today. I'm not going to listen. We'll get into Chelsea talk later this summer, I'm sure, or when we make a big signing, which is coming.
But look, to wrap it all up,
He's trashes
Courtois-
it. He's trashes a
is
single striker.
Courtois top 5 in the Ballon d'Or after the final? Yes or no?
I'm gonna
Yes.
go with 5, but I'm still gonna have Benzema. I'm gonna have Salah over. I'm gonna have Mbappe over, and I'm still gonna have Lewandowski, who put up 56 goals and 11 assists across all competitions for Bayern.
I'm putting Courtois over Lewandowski for sure. I'm not gonna lie to you.
That's fair. But I think Lewandowski, you can't put away what he did for that Bayern team. And that Bayern team is
When
still.
you do it in the Bundesliga, yes, you can.
Oh my goodness.
That's my 2 cents. Connor,
Well, I mean, speaking of Lewandowski and tying it back to Liverpool too, Sadio Mane is probably going to Bayern. He's got a couple other offers, but like he's leaving Liverpool to go to Bayern Munich, most likely, because Lewandowski wants to go to Barcelona. So given the final, like, what do you think this means for Bayern? What do you think this means for Liverpool?
it means nothing for Bayern. They're still gonna win the league. Like, are they gonna have a better shot at the Champions League? No, because Lewandowski's better than Mane. So,
Well, if you're saying Mane's leaving, like Lewandowski's leaving, Serge Gnabry's potentially leaving to go to Madrid or Arsenal or other teams he's linked to. If you look at that, like Mane's going to come into that situation, like maybe not. I mean, they lock up Bundesliga every year, but like Champions League, like this Mane coming in replacement of Lewandowski and Gnabry, like what kind of effect do we think that has on the team?
I don't really understand the way Bayern plays. Like, unless you fire Nagelsmann, who likes to play with a midfield, like attacking midfielders instead of wingers, and that's why Musiala has been getting more playing time over people like Serge Gnabry and Leroy Sané. It doesn't make sense to bring in Mane unless he's playing the striker position. And from there, you're like, why? He's better off on the wing, Mane is, in my opinion. So it just doesn't make sense to me bringing him in. But you have a chance to bring in somebody like Mane's top 6 in Ballon d'Or voting. For me, at least, you have the opportunity to take it, especially trying to get somebody to replace Lewandowski. I still think you need to bring a central striker in and change up your coach if you're going to do wingers on the outside, because obviously Nagelsmann plays with midfielders.
dude, the thing is that Bayern is just like PSG, where they make signings that are just for the name rather than like, are they actually going to be good? Because they don't care about like, are they actually going to be good? Not like literally, like obviously there's some thought behind it, but like as long as you're a good player, you can end up at Bayern and PSG. Why? Because those guys win the domestic cup and the league no matter what. Like they literally just do, unless it's an absolute fluke by them. They just win. And the problem with that is the same thing that I've been saying the entire year. So you go and you beat up on little teams for 20, 25 games in a row. Then you go to the Champions League. Then you get smacked as soon as you face some real competition. That's what happens every single year. So is Sadio Mane going to be good at Bayern? Of course he is. Because who's going to defend him? No one. He's still going to score like 10 plus goals, maybe drop 10 plus assists. Because he's Sadio Mane. He's a really good player.
I mean, that does also leave somewhat of a hole at Liverpool, specifically, like they've talked about. I mean, if we're looking at names linked to Liverpool to replace Mane, because the way they play, and with even needed bench depth from like Origi and Oxlade-Chamberlain going, you still need like attacking depth for them. If we look at like they've linked to like Darwin Nunez, for example, they're linked to Danjuma from Villarreal. Nkunku is linked to them. Dembele has been linked to them. Like, do we think this makes up for Mane?
No, Liverpool don't need another attacker. They have Luis Diaz. They have Diego Jota. Give them a chance. They're both really young and they're both really good. You want to make a
what happens when one of them get hurt mid-season? They're screwed.
Dude, then you have Firmino. Then you have Harvey Elliott.
You need
depth. Minamino. Dude, I just named like 4 players off the top of my head, and I don't even like Liverpool.
They have the money to go get like a legit. They have the money to go get like a legitimate replacement, though. Like, let them go if they want to spend the money.
Those are all legitimate replacements.
Minamino is not equivalent to Sadio Mane. Harvey Elliott, maybe in 5 years.
You will never sign another. There is no Sadio Mane in the market. There is he is Sadio Mane. Like,
well, I feel like Darwin Nunez could be nice.
And what? Leave Jota and Luis Diaz on the bench. Those guys are good enough to start.
No, because you're okay. First of all, if you bring in Darwin Nunez, he's going to play the central striker position, and Salah is going to play, and you're going to have one guy coming off the bench as a super sub. You were talking about earlier in the episode, Luis Diaz is potentially the best super sub in all 5 leagues, so that's definitely an option. And then I think Liverpool should, like City, bring in a central striker, give them an opportunity to put balls into the box and have a guy who can head outside of set pieces with their 2 large center backs. So if you want to bring an attacking option, you may say they don't need an attacking option. This is the same team that's only won 1 league title and 1 Champions League, and arguably they should have been winning more. But you can argue that Liverpool has been one of the most disappointing teams in the last 5 years based on all the talent they have and how much they should have won. But having that central striker will change an opportunity to have them have a different play style and switch up against different teams. Gives them an opportunity to play balls in the box.
Okay. First of all, the reason why Liverpool's not as successful as they are is twofold. They made the Champions League 3 times. 3 times in the last 6 years, 5 years or something. I don't know how far back I have to go to get to that Real Madrid final. The first time they lost against Real Madrid, that's to me, that's the best team I've ever seen in my life. That run of 3 Champions Leagues in a row. So, and they had Karius. So, slack. And that's the first year that Liverpool were good. Slack. Then they played Tottenham, beat them. Won Champions League. Then they played Real Madrid again, and they lost. But they made the Champions League final 3 times. They won the Premier League once in that time, and they lost the Premier League by a little bit twice in that time as well. They're not like Man City, who throw millions and millions and millions at positions that they don't even need to reinforce. Liverpool are a regular team in terms of that. Like, they buy players when they need players. Who can Liverpool sign to make the difference? The only reason why I would say yes, go out and sign an attacker, go out and sign Darwin Nunez, is if they know for sure they're going to lose Salah next season. Then yes, bro, bring someone in, because you're already losing Mane. You're going to lose Salah next season. Bring someone in. But for right now, you have Luis Diaz and you have Jota and you have Firmino. Dude, you can make an attack with that, and you have a bunch of subs. So I don't think they need the depth, for real. There's other ways to improve a team. You want to make your team better? Sign Christopher Nkunku, play him at midfield, or sign Nkunku, play him in attack. Really good player. Go get Jude Bellingham. There's no reason for him to be a Dortmund right now. Erling Haaland is gone. Go get Jude Bellingham and play him in the midfield. Give Thiago competition. Give Fabinho competition. Give Henderson competition. If even that, start him straight up. If I'm Liverpool, that's what I'm going for.
I agree with Jude Bellingham. I mean, that midfield is aging. Thiago's in I believe he's 30-ish. Henderson's in his mid-30s now. Fabinho's 28. Bring in midfield competition. If you're Curtis Jones is great as a prospect, but I don't know if he's on Thiago's level. Bellingham could be one of the best maybe the best midfielder in the world if he reaches his full potential. and he could do that at Liverpool. Like that'd be a great signing for them.
Best midfielder in the world. That's
Who's
Is
the
the
best
potential.
midfielder in the world?
he said.
He
Jude
could
Bellingham
be. I'm saying he could be the best midfielder in the
could
world
be the
if he
best.
reaches his
I
potential. I'm not
guess.
saying he is right now.
Connor
Yeah.
over Mason Mount.
Mason Mount's trash. So.
Mason Mount's not a midfielder. He's a right wing.
Just to like throw a jab at the you know what it's like with the Premier League because he plays in the Bundesliga, but just English players in general and the Premier League somewhat. If Pedri reaches his potential, no one's even gonna touch that kid. If we really want to be serious about this, Pedri over everyone right now.
I mean, best 3 box to box guys in like 5 years. I'd be amazed if it's not Pedri, Bellingham, Gavi.
Gavi's not that guy. Like Gavi
Gavi is
has
that
not.
guy.
Gavi
Gavi is that
is
guy.
Gavi's good. You know,
Did you
thumbs
watch?
up,
Did you watch
Gavi.
Nations League today?
Dude, I didn't watch
His
Nations League today,
assist
but I
was
watched
great.
Gavi. I didn't watch Nations League today,
I
but I
know,
watched
go
Gavi's
Google it.
every single game the entire season. Gavi is good, but Gavi is not like they're making him out to be like the next thing when the next thing is just Pedri, the guy right next to him. But that's how I feel about Gavi. But not to get too much into it. UEFA dropped the team of the season, obviously, because Real Madrid and Liverpool played each other in the final. So Champions League is officially done. They dropped the team of the season. It's 4-3-3. I'll name it out for you guys, and you guys can tell me how you feel about it. Obvious choice at goalie, Thibaut Courtois. I agree. Back line, Robertson, Van Dijk, Rudiger, Trent. Midfield, Modric, Fabinho, De Bruyne. Front line, Vinicius, Benzema, Mbappe. Thoughts?
Yo, you already know I'm gonna have to put it out there. You should have Son over Vinicius all day.
What?
Yeah, you talk about this every week, dude.
What?
Better than Vinicius.
Son
Wait,
didn't even play in the Champions League,
I'm just
bro.
saying, bro. I know it's UEFA Champions League, but yo, he played in the what league it was.
well, he's in the Conference League
Conference
team.
League.
He's in the Conference League team of the tournament, buddy. Oh no.
Yeah,
You don't think
tripping.
Vinicius deserves to be there? Yeah,
You were tripping.
if you want to take someone out, I say take Mbappe out, put Mo Salah in. Nah.
Salah's got the goal scoring. It's not. I feel like it's not. Or sorry, Mbappe has the goal scoring.
Mbappe was
I think
just
it's Salah.
nasty in the games he did play. Like he was insane against Real
He
Madrid.
carried PSG. He deserves to be in that front 3. I think. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think Benzema, Vinicius are non-negotiable in that front line. Looking at the midfield, Modric to me non-negotiable again. Like the crosses he put in against just Chelsea alone over those 2 legs, Jesus Christ. De Bruyne, Fabinho, how do we feel about them in the midfield?
I was a little surprised by Fabinho. I didn't really think he did much. I don't know. I think like
He scored against Villarreal.
I mean, just he did, but like I mean, if, like just top of my head thinking of stuff like got to the Casemiro maybe give Valverde some credit because but even he did play a lot of games at right wing though, so maybe not.
Personally,
Nkunku for I don't know.
personally, I'd have Rodri and Casemiro over Fabinho. I can understand putting Fabinho in.
Roger too.
Rodri had a very underrated, very underrated UEFA Champions League campaign.
The thing is, Rodri's not a stat sheet stuffer, and you know those guys just get no recognition.
No, not at all. But you can watch him; he'll probably have like the most passes completed in an entire game or the entire tournament, especially from the CDM. That's not going to be put.
That's just how Man City play, though. In my opinion, it should be the midfield. Should have been Modric, which he's already in there. I think Casemiro should be over Fabinho all day. Like Casemiro was second in tackles in the UCL. He was tied for first in balls recovered in the UCL with Eder Militao. Fabinho was 4th in there. I don't even see Rodri in any of the stats, to be honest. Like I said, because he's not a stat sheet guy. But I don't know. I don't know how I feel about De Bruyne being in there. If I'm being serious.
He played really well though. Like I think if your case against De Bruyne would be finding guys that played better. I think maybe like if I think like De Bruyne played really well, like especially in the semifinal. Like I thought he was very, very good for them. If you're making a case against De Bruyne, I think like I feel like you would just have to find guys that played better. And when he's not the glaring admission to that. Fabinho's the glaring admission. Like if you're gonna take someone out, you take out Fabinho. two, like the guys you'd be saying played better. Like if you need to find two guys, because if you're saying De Bruyne doesn't deserve to be there, Fabinho for sure doesn't deserve to be there. If you're finding two guys, like I agree, like Rodri was great, but like he was great. He absolutely dictates how City plays. He's crucial how they play. No stats. I feel like Casemiro should be there ahead of Fabinho. I just can't find a second guy that I really feel like should be there over De Bruyne.
That's fair.
You know?
I agree with that. I'll say Casemiro or Fabinho for sure. Then I can't really think of like a better than De Bruyne. Like if I really wanted to be super meticulous about it, I would switch it from a 4-3-3 to like a 4-2-4, and like have an extra attacker and not include De Bruyne at all. I can easily say that Salah had a better UCL campaign than De Bruyne, and deserves to be in it more than De Bruyne. But I guess if you want to play a 4-3-3, then you have to put Mbappe over Salah, which means you need an extra midfielder, and you have to throw De Bruyne in there. Cool. But moving to the back line, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I mean, that's fair, but also considering you were talking about like stats, stuffing, previous stuff, it just goes against how City play. They just spread the ball so much. Everyone's involved, and everybody has an opportunity. But De Bruyne had such an effect on that City team, like led to wins and games. Like, I mean, he had 82% passing accuracy, 2 goals and 4 assists in 10 matches. Not very great, but just the way he controlled the game for City was a huge deal. But I understand again what you're saying. Not enough stats, and I would put Salah. I wouldn't put him over Fabinho though. I mean, I wouldn't put him over De Bruyne. I would put him over Fabinho. But that's just
well, yeah. I was just saying that because like you say you have Salah over Fabinho, but I would have Casemiro over Fabinho, and I'd probably have Casemiro. The thing is, most of these just to like end it here, most of these teams are really biased to the teams that make it in the final. So like you could argue that Casemiro had a better team, like a better tournament than let's say De Bruyne, even though they don't fill up the same stats because Casemiro made it to the final, especially since Casemiro played in a team that knocked out City. But like I know what you're saying. It's like a 50-50 where you could have Salah in here and you can either have Salah in here or you can have I think Casemiro should be in there. But for sure, we disagree that that midfield is definitely the one that they have is definitely wrong. But like moving on to the back line, you have Robertson at left back, Van Dijk, Rudiger, Trent Alexander-Arnold.
A lot of problems in the back line. I mean, I genuinely, I kind of, and I hate to diss my boy, maybe former boy now that he's officially at Madrid, but I do love him. Antonio Rudiger. Well, he was really great for Chelsea the whole way through. I mean, you like Alaba made the final and he played great the whole way through. Militao made the final, played great the whole way through.
No. As a Real Madrid fan, I will tell you right now, Alaba and Militao do not make that team of the group, like team of the season.
So Rudiger deserves to be there.
I think so. The only blunder he had was
great.
The thing with Benzema. Other than that, he was solid. He was super solid, and you just you got beat by the eventual champions, and by really, really good soccer. Like the only sketchy things were like when Rudiger gave the ball away. But other than that, bro, that ball over the top, like outside the foot to Rodrigo to tie it up like in the 90th minute, like you just got beat by insane soccer.
So well, that was Thiago Silva, but I digress.
Yeah, but it's when you get scored on, like this is a absolute blunder. Like it's a lot of things, like maybe a midfielder could have stopped the cross, maybe they didn't give the ball away, like things like that. But I don't know. I think Rudiger deserves to be there. I actually have to agree that Trent deserves to be there. Like I said, he sucks at defense, but the amount of offense he puts out, especially like leading up to the final, Trent's definitely there.
So Trent over Carvajal.
Guys that the thing is, Carvajal too.
He missed games. It's the only knock.
He misses games, but he did.
When he played, he was great.
He did have the assist against Man City for Rodrigo's goal. Like technically, I mean, he put the ball in, then it glanced off Asensio, and then Rodrigo headed it in. Then he had a shutout game against Liverpool in the final. The thing that is always going to hold Carvajal back is the fact that he misses games. Like, there's no other reason why Carvajal has never been in the World 11 ever. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's right.
I think that's right.
In there. I feel like he maybe
I
had
don't
him
think
go
he's
1
made it.
year. I don't think he's made it a single time, and it's always because of injuries, bro. But nah, I have to agree that Trent definitely deserves it. But like I said, Van Dijk is one of those guys that I like. He's really good. I know he's really good, but it's like, what is your argument for not having Konate over Van Dijk? Like Konate scored against did he score against Villarreal? I know he scored both times against Benfica, and he had a shutout game against Real Madrid. So I think Konate got snubbed there. And I've never been a fan of Robertson, so I'm gonna say that Robertson doesn't deserve to be there.
Anyway, I was saying Robertson, Cancelo should have been over Robertson. Biggest stat, 51 passes into key areas, big opportunity, 28 into the penalty area, just an opportunity. And he was very decent defensively compared to Robertson, which, I mean, they gave up mad goals. The only time that City actually gave up big goals was against Real Madrid, final champions. But that's my opinion. I think definitely Cancelo over Robertson on the back line. Everything else I'm okay with.
I agree. So if we're doing like off the bar UCL team of the tournament, we're saying like we're going maybe 4-2-4. That's how I'm feeling. 4-2-4. We're saying left back. Let's put Cancelo. We're gonna keep Rudiger. We're gonna keep Van Dijk.
No.
Carvajal, or are we feeling Carvajal or Trent officially?
Look, I would run through it really fast, just like this. I would go Courtois in the goal, not negotiable. Left back Cancelo, Konate, Rudiger, Trent. I agree with that. I would go Modric, Casemiro. That's it. Vinicius, Benzema, and Mbappe, Salah. That would be my team of the season.
That's fair. There's a few disagreements. I think that's fair, mostly.
Yeah, I would say switch Van Dijk and Konate, and then I'm okay with it, and then possibly Casemiro and De Bruyne. But other than that, yeah, I mean, it's a pretty solid list. So,
sure.
Look, Benzema ended up winning Player of the Season, and Vinicius, Young Player of the Season. Yeah, bro. Ultimately, Real Madrid somehow went against what I was saying the entire time. I still stand by my statement that Real Madrid was not built to win the Champions League. And I don't know why people call me out on that, because it's literally the case. Like, both their center backs are just not that good. Like, their right back is like here and there every other game. Like, they're not built to win the Champions League, and somehow they won it.
No, Ralph, I mean, you pulled off the successful reverse jinx. It's hard to do, but you managed to pull off the reverse jinx. Congrats to you. You willed Madrid to win.
Go. I did that. It was not Rodrigo.
Rafa can take 100% of the credit for Madrid's win.
It was not Benzema. It was me. I saw it.
It was you and Michael wearing a jersey from like 2005.
The time has passed, and our time is up on this podcast. We got to talk about the Champions League final. We got to talk about what that means in the world of soccer in terms of how Liverpool's shaping up, how Real Madrid is shaping up. Talk about the team of the season for the Champions League. Moving forward, Ballon d'Or, who wins it is Courtois in the top 3. It's Courtois in the top 5. Somehow Mane made someone's top 6. Don't know how that works. But yeah, alongside Connor O'Brien and Inter Sanabria, my name is Rafael Dos Santos, and we are signing out.